This story time is all about the fall or the autumn, and it is aimed at a preschool audience. To begin your story time, I would recommend singing your hello or welcome song to let the children and the caregivers and the parents there know that story time is beginning and that they are welcome at your library. To start your story time on the theme of autumn, there are two books that I recommend choosing from, and these are both books that I recommended for purchase at the Scappoose Public Library. The first one is called Leaf Trouble by Jonathan Emmett, and it's about a little squirrel named Pip. And Pip is kind of frightened to see the leaves falling from the trees, and so his mom describes the process of fall and what happens when the leaves start to fall and why that's occurring. And so it's an informative book. It also has beautiful, bright, really vividly colored illustrations, so it works great in a story time because the kids can really see these from a faraway distance. I would do it at the beginning of a story time because it does have more text than some picture books, so you want to do these when you have your audience fresh and listening and more able to pay attention to a longer book. So that's one recommendation to start. Another recommendation is this book called Leaf Jumpers by Carol Gerber. And Leaf Jumpers is, it's a story, but it's really an informational book in that it gives information about all of the different types of leaves that fall during the autumn, and it describes what they look like, what they're called, the trees they come from, and then at the end of the book, it does have a nice little page that describes them all together, a little summary of the different types of leaves. Again, it's a longer book, so I would choose to do this one at the beginning of the story time. After I finished my first story, I would then move into a little song, and it's called the Squirrel Song, which goes great if you're doing Leaf Trouble because that book has a squirrel on it, and it's to the tune of She'll Be Coming Around the Mountain. And this is how it goes. So I will go ahead and sing the 3 verses and do the hand motions that accompany it. Ready? I'll be gathering all the acorns till they're gone. I'll be gathering all the acorns till they're gone. I'll be gathering all the acorns, I'll be gathering all the acorns, I'll be gathering all the acorns till they're gone. And I'll put them all inside my little home. I will put them all inside my little home. I will put them all inside, I will put them all inside, I will put them all inside my little home. And I'll eat the nuts until winter's gone. I will eat the nuts until the winter's gone. I will eat the nuts until, I will eat the nuts until, I will eat the nuts until the winter's gone. And that is the Squirrel Song, and you can teach those actions to the kids before you start, maybe even just before each verse. You can have them practice them with you. Up next, I would do this book called Leaves by David Ezra Stein. It's a wonderful book about a bear who's discovering that autumn has arrived and it's time for him to start hibernating. It's pretty short. It's got just very few lines of text in there, so it will read quickly, which is good for the middle of your story time because you don't want anything too long or anything that will drag too much. And it's just a very pretty, beautifully illustrated book about the start of autumn and then how that leads to winter time. And after you're done reading Leaves, you can go ahead and jump into your next song, which is a action rhyme called 5 Little Leaves. And you just have the kids put up their 5 fingers. You can count them off, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you can sing this little rhyme with them. Here's how it goes. 5 little leaves so bright and gay were dancing on a tree one day. The wind came blowing through the town, and one little leaf came tumbling down. Now there were 4 little leaves so bright and gay, dancing on a tree one day. The wind came blowing through the town, and one little leaf came tumbling tumbling down. And then you can do that with 3, 2, and then 1 leaf that are falling from the trees. And the kids really like to make a really big whooshing, blowing sound, so if you can try and exaggerate that part of the song as much as possible, they can really get into that. You might also want to throw in something like head, shoulders, knees, or toes, or a little round of the hokey pokey, or the itsy bitsy spider. Just another rhyme to maybe get them up and moving if you feel like the kids need a little bit of a break before your next story. So after 5 Little Leaves, the next story I would do is this really, really wonderful story by Oliver Jeffers, who's a very a very well-known Canadian author, children's author, and it's called Stuck, and it's his new book. And in Stuck, this little boy throws his kite up into a tree, and to get it down, he just starts throwing more things up to try and knock it out. And it gets very ridiculous, and he ends up throwing up, I think a whale, and a fire truck, and a bunch of different things that make no sense up in a tree. He gets the saw out, and right when you think he's going to saw down the tree, he throws the saw up in the tree. And it's a wonderful story. It's very funny. The parents will find it hilarious. It's nonsensical, so it kind of appeals to the children's imagination in that way. I highly recommend this as a felt story because you can just cut out a really big tree and then just start adding the things to the tree, and the children really get that visual impact of seeing all the felt things just growing on the tree. And I've seen this performed as a felt story, and it is absolutely amazing. So this would be a great way to end your story time, is by doing Stuck by Oliver Jeffers as a felt story. And then after your last story, there's a great song called All Leaves Are Falling Down. It's to the tune of the London Bridge is Falling Down. So it's a familiar tune for the kids, and this is how it goes. There are some actions that go along with it. All the leaves are falling down, falling down, falling down. All the leaves are falling down. It is fall. Take the rake and rake them up, rake them up, rake them up. Take the rake and rake them up. It is fall. Make a pile and jump right in, jump right in, jump right in. Make a pile and jump right in, it is fall. And you could sing that multiple times through. If the kids are getting really into it, it's a great song because it does have a little bit of action in there. And it just reminds them that that's what you do when it's fall time. So that is my story time all about autumn. Some of those books I recommended for purchase, so if you take a look at the Books About Autumn Reader Advisory list, there are lots of other suggestions for books that Scappoose currently has. And you could certainly supplement your story time with some of these books, or at least have them out on display. So I would end my story time with a goodbye song, and then of course encourage everyone to check out all the books you have about the fall or the seasons. Thanks everyone.